everyone. Good morning. Welcome to worship this morning. This morning is Christ the King Sunday. So what that means is a couple of different things. It's the last day of the church year. So this year, being year C, in terms of our readings in Luke's Gospel, we move into Mark for December and Advent. So it's really New Year's Eve in a sense for the church, because next year we begin Advent, next Sunday. We begin a new church year. And a lot of times we think of the church year itself as a way that the church is different. The church literally keeps time differently than the rest of the world does. So we're at the end of our year, about to begin a new one, and we begin our year with the birth of Jesus Christ. In December, not January, right? So it's a way that the church demarcates itself from the rest of time. So we do things differently here. And so, Christ the King, I wrote a little bit about it last year, and I'm going to read what I wrote because, surprise, surprise, nothing has changed. So, one thing I didn't catch is that we're moving from Mark's Gospel to Luke's. That's not actually accurate. Now we're going from Luke to Mark. Interesting about it. But, imagine that wasn't there, I'll just change it on the fly. So here's what I wrote on the front of your bulletins. Christ the King is a relatively recent addition to the liturgical calendar in the church year. It is the last day of last year, and next week, the beginning of Advent, is the first day of next year, where we move from Luke's Gospel to now Mark's. Often, thematic elements of the readings for Christ the King focus on framing our understanding of Christ's kingship in ways that undermine what we really or usually associate with a king. Jesus' crucifixion is held together with the notion that kings are powerful and not likely to be crucified. King Jesus focused on the care for the poor, where most human kings cannot afford to politically do so. The rich simply have more power. Jesus, the compassionate king, does not lord his power over others and accepts his plight humbly, whereas human kings tend to rule with power. All of these images are correct in that Jesus is definitely a different kind of king. However, they overlook the historical context which brought about the Roman Catholic Church's desire to institute a new festival in the liturgical calendar of the church. Christ the King originated in 1925 at the behest of Pope Pius XI in response to an international rise of nationalism in America, Europe, and Asia. The kingship of Christ, as Pope Pius saw it, extended into the political realm where nationalism functions as an idol. Pius wrote in Quies Primus, the encyclical which commemorated the first Christ the King Day in 1925. He says, "Nor is there any difference in this matter between the individual and the family or the state. For all men," as he wrote, "whether collectively or individually, are under the dominion of Christ." He goes on, when once men recognize both in private and in public life that Christ is King, society will at last receive the great blessing of real liberty, well-ordered discipline, peace, and harmony. Troublesome as the previous statement is with regards to respecting the religious liberty and convictions of people from different faiths, Pius is attempting to differentiate between a public life with Christ in a normative role versus one which supplants Christ's role with nationalism. Pius feared that Christ's concern with the poor, the strangers, and widows was being diminished at the expense of fervor for various homelands. Today, as valid as ever, Christ the King stands on the brink of yesterday, turning into tomorrow, birthing Advent and a season of hope and light. Yet, the antonyms of hope and light are doubt and darkness. We, before transgressing the bounds of Christ the King, must examine how this day, Christ the King, is relevant not only for today, but for all times. Today, the fires of nationalism have swept the globe. We saw it in Brexit. We see it in conversations which are more concerned with borders, a way to delineate the bounds of a nation, than they are with compassion. We see it in economic policies, evaporating trade deals, and divisive rhetoric, which essentializes nation of origin. This, as Pius feared, was a call for a realignment with Christ as King. This call is, at heart, a revolutionary one, in that if Christ is King, Angela Merkel, Justin Trudeau, Vladimir Putin, and Donald Trump are not. Perhaps as unsettling now as it was then, the proclamation of Christ as King touches all aspects of our lives and imaginations. Today is Christ the King. Let us worship our God and pray for God's central role in our lives. So I wrote that a year ago because it's the same. And I imagine back when Christ the King was instituted in 1925, maybe pious thought things would be different. Well, guess what? World War II now. You know what I mean? And so it's always the same. Is Christ our King or somebody else? And so after the sermon, after the creed, what we're going to do is that on either side at the kneelers are little crowns of thorns, which I've printed out. We're going to write down on these little paper crowns of thorns those things or those people or those preoccupations that we have that are truly the kings of our lives. I'm asking you to be honest with yourself, right? And what I want you to do is, rather than taking hammer and nails, we're going to tape these little crowns of thorns to the cross, which is in the center aisle. And it's there to make it hard for us to get right. That's the point, right? So I'm sorry, I know it's a little annoying. I was walking along before and I almost clocked myself in the head. But, it's there so we can't avoid it. And the point being that what we write on these pieces of paper, we probably usually avoid by using a whole variety of mechanisms to not think about. But we have many kings in our lives. Kings, queens, royal courts and the like. So today I'm asking you to make manifest those things that rule us. And let's put it on the cross. Because the gospel reading today is Jesus crucified, two people, one on his left, one on his right, and he forgives a thief. That's our king. Right? So we should fear nothing for those things that keep us from God. Only in that we should expose them so we can draw closer to God. But God's not going to reject us. So with that, we're going to say our confession of forgiveness, and then the first, the gathering hymn and the hymn of the day are from With One Voice, which is a different hymnal which we used to use. So they're printed on inserts in your bulletin. The council and I spoke, and we're going to start using different worship resources, which are Lutheran. We have tons of them. So this is just getting our feet wet, doing work on. These are familiar. We may go into unfamiliar territory down the road as we go through this. So please stand for the confession and forgiveness.